We're gonna transition into talking about careers. As I mentioned to you guys earlier, I was like, hey, I wanted to bring more awareness and more light into what it's like to get to a certain career, right? We all have different routes, and sometimes the destination might be the same, but the process to everyone is different. And I wanted to bring that more into light into YouTube because I felt like, when I go into YouTube and I'm like, yo, how do you become a lawyer? They give you a lot of like the external things, the classes you need to take or the school you need to do and this and all that. But like, what is it like to get to a certain point, right? So which one of you guys want to start first? So I can ask, Adri, you gonna start? We're gonna get with
Let's go.
So you're a loan officer, Adri.
Yes, I am.
Right. So how did you become a loan officer? What was the process like? And then, maybe some of the things you had to do, maybe some of the nuances, or maybe what was it that like made you get into it, stick with it, and also some of the hardships, like get into all of it, be real. I want people to hear what's it like and what you think about it. So
Sure. Okay, so I got my license in 2019. I was still in college. I was at Georgia State.
gang,
GSU.
GSU gang, what's up, bro? Bleep bloop.
I'm gonna say hootie hoo.
Nah.
Let's
go. Hold on, we might cut that out from the podcast, bro.
And I got my license, and I was actually studying managerial science. So I was studying business.
Oh,
I was getting my
nice.
business degree. I did get my business degree, but my parents have been in the real estate business for a really long time. My mom is a broker. My dad's a real estate agent. They've been doing it a long time. And my dad was the one that told me to get my license. And I did not want to because I was like 20, and I had different plans. I was like, this is not what I want to do. But he wanted me so bad to get the license. And so I remember I took off one spring break and I just studied for it because I felt so much pressure from him. I lived with them, so I felt so much pressure from him to do it, and I didn't want to let him down. So that's why I did it.
Gotcha.
But it was terrible. Like I didn't understand anything of it. Like I didn't like it. It's mortgages. I didn't even know like what a mortgage consists of. So that's how I got my license. And then I didn't even start in that industry until after graduation. I went to go work for Cox Enterprises. I was there.
I remember that when you were interning.
Yeah, it was like a dream job. I loved that job. I did like community volunteerism and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it was like a whole different corporate job. But I was doing that for a year, and then COVID happened and my contractor position ended. So my contract expired.
Gotcha.
So they didn't renew it because it was COVID. People were losing their jobs. So in that moment was like, well, I have my license to be a loan officer. I'm going to go ahead and give that a try. And then I gave it a try. And because of my parents, I had a lot of business up front. And then it was just the most emotional thing because this is people's livelihood.
Yeah.
Like this is people that put a lot of money down to buy their house. This is like their dream. This is like where they're going to live. And so many things can go wrong during the process of buying a house. And when you just kind of jump into it and try to get people their homes, it was really, really like, it was emotional. There was a lot of nights that I spent crying. I had nightmares because it was a lot of pressure for these families for me to close their homes.
Ooh.
And that's kind of how I got into it. And then 3 years later, this is what I've been doing. And it's honestly it's the best job ever to be able to help people and get people into
house.
Their homes. Yeah.
I feel like because that's like the American quote unquote dream,
Yeah.
and they're buying that house and you're able to be like a liaison, like between all that and like being able to like provide that. What are some of the things that you felt like, can you give us like, do you have any like horror stories when it comes to that? Like what was like something that like didn't work out, or what was something that you felt like, yo, like, you got into the weeds.
Stories. Okay.
Yeah. Or anything that was
recently,
you felt like was bad.
I can think of something recently. Like, so buying a home is, if you're applying for a loan, it's about like a 30-day process. Like, it could be anywhere from like 15 to 30 days. Typically, it's like a 30-day process.
Yeah.
You find the house, you get pre-approved, you find the house for the pre-approval amount that you receive. So let's say I pre-approved you for $400,000. You go with your pre-approval to go look for houses around that price range.
Mm-hmm.
And then you submit an offer. If you submit an offer and you win the offer, you're under contract. And that's when we start working on your loan. And we do an appraisal on the house. So we see if the house is really worth $400,000. We do.
What if it's not?
If it's not, then we have to readjust the contract. Then you have to get with the seller and be like, this house is not worth what you said it was worth. And then you kind of readjust.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you change the contract terms. But I would say that one of like the biggest horror stories is like midway through the process, somebody lost their job, or recently I had somebody that changed the kind of they went from like hourly wage to commission. So now instead of using the income that I had before, I couldn't use
it no more.
So it was we had to restructure the loan. It was a whole thing. But stuff like that, because people put deposits down to put away, like to a deposit, like an earnest money deposit to kind of like I'm thinking in Spanish, I'm sorry, to
like put aside?
Yes, to separate the house. Like, so when you submit an offer, you submit it with an earnest money amount.
Oh, is that like showing like interest kind of thing?
Yes,
or like
so it's like, this is how on board I am. So if anything falls during the process, the seller is going to keep your money. So let's say you put $5,000 down to separate that house for you, like to go under contract.
Wait, that's a thing?
That's a thing.
No mames.
You put an earnest. So if anything goes wrong, I lose that client's earnest money. Like, I lose that client's deposit. If something goes wrong, they lost their money.
Oh, no.
If we're not within the terms of like, if we're not within the contingency terms, which means like, let's say, and I'm getting really
no. We love to hear this
okay.
because I want people to hear and watch this. Yes.
Let's say that $400,000 house that you submitted an offer on your contract, you put that you were gonna give $5,000 down during the process.
Gotcha.
You have a certain amount of contingency days. So you have a certain amount of, let's say it's 15 days of contingency day to get a conditional approval from the bank.
Okay.
If something happens within or outside of those days, you lost your money.
Oh, nah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. Okay. What? So you have to make sure, like, if that would have happened outside of their contingency days, which I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Yeah, now that I'm remembering, she switched jobs while she was outside of her contingency days. So the money was already at risk.
Oh, no.
The money that she put down.
So it was already at risk, and then she switched jobs, so it made that worse?
Yeah, it made it worse. So we had to find another solution. But that's what happened. So that's why it was stressful, because it was a lot of things when I first started that I was learning.
Yeah.
And I felt responsible for all these people's homes and money.
Yeah.
And if something went wrong in the process, they could easily blame me. Or there's other times where I had clients that bought cars in the middle of their process, and that messed up their credit. So it's like the credit that you originally had is not the credit you have right now in the process. And we have to either find a new solution or restructure the loan.
So rule of thumb, I guess, is like while you're going through that buying process and submitting all those applications for loans and stuff, it's basically not to do anything. Keep your job.
Yeah.
Don't apply for anything else. You know, no new cars, credit, none of that. Just keep it what it was.
Yeah. In the process of buying a home, you want to keep everything the way it was when you applied for the loan.
Or else you could lose the money.
Exactly.
Oh, dang, dude. That's wild. See, man, it's the market, especially now. It feels like it's scary. You know, what do you think about that? What do you think about the market, man?
What do you think about the market?
Yeah. What do you guys think about that right now? You guys just bought a home, so you know, I think you guys will be a good experience, like a good talking point.
Yeah. So I just want to say I see all the horror stories. So I learned a lot about this industry through her. So but yeah, I mean, obviously the market right now. I mean, obviously things are high, but I think long term, you know, buying a house is still a really good investment. But that's up to her to talk about.
Houses are always appreciating. So it's not like buying a car where you're buying a depreciating asset.
Yeah.
Like it's
not even an asset.
It's not an asset.
It's not even an asset at that point now. Yeah. I got you.
A house is an appreciating asset.
Gotcha.
So when we're talking about, okay, the market, the rates are going up. Okay, but so is rent. So is everything else.
Yeah, everything else, man.
And I mean, what I tell clients is, as soon as rates go back down, once we see them go back down in the future, like let's say right now they're like at a 7.5. When we see them go to like a 5, everybody's gonna want to buy a house. Everybody and their mamas is gonna be buying a house, so they're gonna.
That'll be me.
But it's gonna be people putting $30,000-$40,000 over the actual value of the house. So that's why I tell people, do you want to compete with those people that have more cash on hand? Or do you want to qualify now, buy the house, and then refinance when the rates go down? Like when you refinance a car, you change the rate. It's the same thing. So
okay. But what are the odds of that happening? Like typically, is that like when you refinance? Is that also a hard process, or is it more easier just?
It's easier because you already have the house. Yeah.
Okay.
Well.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So Adri, I want to plug you in. So who do you work for? How can people find you if they want to find you so they can work with you? Where are you licensed at? Where can you? It's Georgia. What else?
Georgia, Florida, and Texas.
Okay, so 3 states. So if you guys are listening and you're interested in...
But we can do loans anywhere. We can... Yeah, I'm licensed in 3 states, but we can do loans anywhere.
Oh, because of your company?
Yes.
Okay. So how can they find you? What's your... plug in your... Whatever you got to plug in,
I will plug my Instagram, which I'm just now making more content. So
yeah, got you.
Hopefully you like what you see.
And I'll make sure I add that to the link in the description. We're definitely going to have... all this information so you guys can find her. And then, of course, a brand is
Adri.ace.smith.
Smith.
That's my new last name.
DeWent.
DeWent is out.
I got you.
Appreciate it.
Where'd she go?
Yeah. I appreciate you sharing that. Thank you, Adri.
Thank you.
I'm sure that was very informative. Well, to me it was, and I'm sure to a lot of people out there too.